Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome back, and today I have for you my revisited guide to the GunBreaker. To date, I still believe to be the most enjoyable tanking role. A class, if played right, will never die. It is the hardest tank to learn and master, and the GunBreaker is in a better state than it was 6 months ago. And with 7.1 on the way, let's hope it sees some love. Thank you all for tuning in, enjoy today's video, and I shall see you all in the next one. The GunBreaker's most basic rotation is the solid barrel combo. This rotation is comprised of keen edge, brutal shell, and solid barrel. This would be your go-to combo once you have burned through the other cooldowns, or while simply waiting to combo off your stronger actions. The third strike of the rotation solid barrel grants you the effect powder barrel. This powder barrel gives you access to burst strike, which overall turns the basic combo into a 5-part rotation. The lesser used tactic for access to your burst strike is your draw and junction while targeting an enemy player. This allows you to skip the first 3 steps and start with burst strike. I will come back to that in just a moment. Draw and junction is what makes the GunBreaker truly unique, effectively allowing you to change playstyles. This has finally been updated, allowing you to target yourself and allies, fixing a major issue GunBreakers had inside of Crystalline Conflict. If the enemy team had no tank, you were then locked out of your tank stance. Casting Draw and Junction upon yourself or another tank unlocks the action Nebula. Nebula reduces your damage taken by 20% for 10 seconds, while at the same time delivering a counterattack of 4000 every time you take damage. Amazing for engage, diving deep for huge limit breaks, and helps you escape scenarios many other jobs would not. If you draw and junction a DPS, you gain access to the blasting zone. Nothing fancy, just an instant 10,000 damage, which combos nicely with double down, giving GunBreakers the ability to switch into a burst DPS role for short periods of time. And thirdly, targeting a healer grants you access to Aurora, which can be used on both yourself and allies. A instant 12,000 heal, with a regen lasting for 12 seconds, healing 3,000 per tick. Inside of Crystalline Conflict, there were a few niche moments where it came in handy, but inside of Frontline, I could not find any scenarios where this small amount of healing was more beneficial than simply going with Nebula. The stalling power of Nebula is not only reducing the damage taken, but allows you to hang on for that MP regain, which overall makes Nebula a better healing action over Aurora. Back to Burst Strike. Upon use, grants Ready to Blast. This means now you can combo into your Hypervelocity. By itself is a basic 3000 damage. If you are in the Tank Junction, you will also receive a 6000 barrier, meaning if you can target an enemy tank and junction before you engage, you can open up with Burst Strike into Hypervelocity for some quick shielding, which overall ups your tanking time. Under the DPS junction, you deal an extra 5000 for a total of 8000 damage. So you would engage by targeting a DPS player, using Draw and Junction, Burst Strike into Hypervelocity, ending with a blasting zone and double down. Under the healing junction, you simply deal a 15-yard radius wide heal of 4000. I would not bother inside a Frontline, as the effect is so minor you would not notice any difference. To improve further, you want to include your dive ability Rough Divide. This you can hold 2 charges of, and upon diving you gain the effect of No Mercy. This will increase your damage and your healing by 20%, while also increasing movement speed by another 25%. A great opener is to decide on your junction, be it tank or DPS, by targeting the correct corresponding player. Use Rough Divide to jump in, then follow up with Burst Strike and Hypervelocity. This then sets up your next combos. Rough Divide also works as an escape tool. If you are being swarmed, use Purify and Rough Divide. For 5 seconds you are immune to CC, while being able to move faster and heal for more. That bonus 20% healing is a lifesaver, which only gets stronger as you gain battle highs, which can also increase healing by up to 50%. Following Hypervelocity, you are now primed to go into your 6-part rotation, which starts with Gnashing Fang. This links into the action continuation. To put it simply, every main action will then gain a second instant cast follow-up. These 3 follow-up actions gain the same bonus effect of Hypervelocity, depending on your junction. Under the Tank Junction, this maintains and keeps shields uptime, and under the DPS, allows you to keep the pressure on with high damage. This rotation goes Gnashing Fang into Jugular Rip, Savage Claw into Abdomen Tear, ending with Wicked Talon into Eye Gouge. This combo nicely follows the previous combo I have shown, but also works well as a one-off. Sometimes you do not have the time required to set up, and just need to apply some pressure, so do not be afraid to use this rotation on its own. Double Down is a nice and simple 12,000 damage to all around you. It pairs nicely with Blasting Zone for a combined 22,000 damage. It is also insanely good in the Dark Knight comps. As Salted Earth bring in players close, you can strike everyone. You might not get the kills. You will, however, gain battle highs very quickly this way. And the best way is following your own limit break. I shall break this up for you. Upon activation, you will spin while being able to slowly move. This limit break is an area of effect, with its damage starting at 4000. You take 25% less damage, which doubles up nicely if you are using Nebula beforehand. As you strike targets, they will receive the effect called Relentless Shrapnel, in which they gain between 1 and 5 stacks. These stacks reduce the damage they deal and increases the damage they take, 4% per stack up to a maximum of 20%, ending with Terminal Trigger, which is a fast 12,000 base damage, which will be amplified by the bonus stacks. This also stuns everyone around you, making Double Down the perfect follow-up. A few things to note with this limit break is that you can end it early. Sometimes 2 to 3 stacks is more than enough, and sometimes you need to end it early to avoid death. What catches players off guard is that crowd control cannot stop this limit break. You can be stunned, slapped, and even turned into an imp by a white mage. The limit break will continue regardless. Your biggest counters are samurai who can easily get cheated off, and knockback abilities. You will find monks knocking you away, machinists with their scattergun, and even warriors pulling you away. When this happens, end your limit break early and play to live. I say play to live with any role, but GunBreaker is one of those jobs that becomes almost unkillable with a Battle High 5. 50% bonus damage and healing from the Battle High, mixed with another 25% damage reduction from your limit break, and another 20% from Nebula. This basically turns you into a DPS thanks to the bonus damage, while making you the strongest tank going. Outside of a Dark Knight and Paladin's immortality, you are the main character, who joins in Season 3. In the early stages of the match, you look for opportunities and play to live. As you build that battle high, you make bolder and bolder plays. Abuse, and I mean abuse, all of this damage reduction. I get entire teams spamming off their crowd control and bursts to no avail. I can simply walk this off, while my team runs through them now having spent all of their best actions. Once you have a feel for what you can get away with, a typical match ranges anywhere from 1.5 to 3 million damage with little effort. In those rare games, where teams are even and fighting well, you can even go 5 mil and beyond. And some of you pointed out you do not see many gunbreakers around, and when you do, they're often by themselves limit-breaking random targets. I feel this comes down to a few simple things. Firstly, without a doubt, gunbreakers are the 4-star tank role. They are the hardest to learn and to master. The draw and junction system is rather clunky. It was not until recently that you were able to target yourself and allies. I believe this design needs to be scrapped, and instead just give us the 3 junction buttons to switch between at any given time. The role also shares similarities with the Reaper, in which its effectiveness is greatly affected by how well your team plays, and is by far one of the most slept-on classes out there, which just so happens to be insanely fun. Spin it! Spin, spin! Spin to win! Jump body block. Very nice, very nice. Gonna break the last of this for a clear up. Let's down there, wait. La-da-doo, la-da-doo. Ah, as if. Double down. 4 knockouts. Oh, it's perfect. Double down. 7 knockouts. 8, 11 knockouts. Holy shit, what did you just do? Limit breaker. 14 kills. Worth. Going in. Limit breaker.
You did not get the limit break. Okay, that was bullshit.
And going in. Double down. Limit breaker. 8 knockouts all. Woo! 9 knockouts all. Ava is being targeted.
Now we just need a pull.
Limit breaker. Huge. Limit breaker. Oh, it's gonna be juicy. It's gonna be huge.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yep, no, I'll take that. That's very nice. That is very nice indeed. Woo. Not bad. For your strengths, you are by far the tankiest of the tanking roles. This only gets stronger as your battle high grows. You have a decent gap closer, which again boosts damage, healing, and movement speed. Your DPS junction allows you to burn squishier targets such as range rolls. Nebula, while defensive, does occasionally sneak you extra kills, thanks to its counterattack. Your limit break is extremely useful for when your team runs weaker comps, as you will be increasing the damage the enemies take, while reducing the damage they deal. Ending with a mass stun, you are more powerful than a Dark Knight, just without the mass drawing effect. I found the self-sustain is so good, you can escape scenarios that Paladins and Dark Knights do not, even with their 10 seconds of immortality. Also, your combo potential is limitless. Playing with friends, the GunBreaker can play alongside any role to great effect. For weaknesses, even though the draw and junction has been updated, it is still as clunky as ever. Many times you can be struggling to select the target you want, as you need to use this against an enemy to go straight into the burst strike combo. Playing solo can be a struggle for your limit break, as players can simply run away, or use knockbacks, rendering it completely useless. Aurora is still a dead skill. There is just never a reason to choose the healer junction. If you get caught out alone, your high self-sustain can get you trapped in 30 seconds of hard crowd control. Outside of your limit break, you have no access to crowd control, making GunBreaker more of a follow-up character than a main tank. And if you get stuck with bad unwilling to fight teammates, there is not much a GunBreaker can do, as you are a close range only role. Let's go over a few scenarios, which will hopefully get you an idea of how to play the GunBreaker. Here we have the opening battle. I do not yet want to go in all out, as I need to work on my own battle high and play to strengths. In this I have Ava running Dark Knight, which means I want to abuse double down into Salted Earth. Any kills the team get collectively is easy points towards my own battle high. Looking at the map, you can see the Maelstrom are also pushing the adders, meaning now we can play off their distraction. Start by picking off those around the edges of their alliance. The GunBreaker is also blessed with a very fast limit break charge, so in the opening fights that play out, you will often get the chance to use it. Ava engages and I follow up with limit break. The Samurai's Kasuchi hits my screen no matter. It is a scare and defensive tactic. Too soon for a Samurai to have their limit break. With my commitment to a few extra kills, I jumped right into a battle high too, and with my guard and mana fully available, I can then easily and freely escape with no effort. Here we have the limit break that every GunBreaker dreams of. If your team get a chance to flank, do so. Catching enemies off guard helps increase the chance you will land a full limit break. Looping around, we were able to catch them trapped within a choke point. Pre-pop Nebula as you engage, and rough divide for that extra damage. And always make sure to end with a double down.
I was on 4 kills before we did that. I'm now on 11.
Here we have the engage for the final push. I hook tight to the cliff to out line of sight those above, while Ava takes the brunt of the CC spam. I take this chance to dive on in, perfectly timed as a Dragoon is also limit breaking in. I may die, but this play puts our team 12 points away, using the battle height to its fullest potential, and this should have been an easy win. Sadly, the team follow-up failed to secure the 2 final kills. Unfortunately, all the plays you can make still won't make up for members of your alliance. Here is one of my solo engagements. I'm using the tank junction, as I want the defensive to be ready in case I got swarmed. The DPS junction would also be perfect here. The aim is to bounce from one target to another, to pick off any stragglers. In doing so, we move up towards the cliff, and my limit break is now ready. I always prioritize ranged and squishy targets over tanks and melee. The more supporting roles you take down, the less threatening tanks and melee become. I use my limit break here, in attempts to speed up the battle. The enemy team take the bait diving in. Using my guard right after, I tanked all incoming damage, while still having my recuperates at the ready. They burn through their Dancer and their Reaper all against me. However, I have already set up the momentum for my team, and one by one we run through them. As they recontest, I played to the GunBreaker strengths. In doing so, I quickly jumped to a battle height too. We could be here all day going through scenarios, which I will cover soon in its own solo gameplay video. I hope this video gives you an idea of what GunBreakers can achieve and inspires you to give it a try. Thank you for tuning in. A big thank you to everyone over on Patreon, and thank you all for your continued support. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.